Unlikely pair of political bedfellows stepped into the war on drugs today. Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul and Democratic Senator Barney Frank, of all odd couples, announced a bill that would in effect legalize marijuana by doing away with federal laws and leaving the pot problem up to the states. Ron Paul legalizing marijuana. Go figure on that one. The feds would continue enforcing international and interstate drug smuggling laws, but states would decide for themselves whether citizens could grow and sell it. This is undeniably a long shot in terms of legislation, but it is creating buzz. So, should we even consider legalizing pot? Here to take sides are actor and marijuana advocate Tommy Chong. You all know him from the movies, and Paul Chabot, former senior advisor on drug policy to the Clinton and second Bush administrations. Welcome, gentlemen. Tommy, let me start with you. As far as I can tell, you've waited a lifetime for this to come along. How much confidence do you have that it'll make it now?
I don't have any confidence whatsoever. I think it's just a political, it's like the rest, you know. They're going to legalize. It's already legal. We already have our medical marijuana laws in California. We already have dispensaries. We're already buying pot, you know, legally for the state scope. So it's to me, it's another. It makes me mad, is what it does.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me ask you a little bit more about that, then I'll turn to Paul here. Look, you're wearing a shirt right now. Let's widen the shot out a little bit. You got a shirt on there that's a friend of yours, right? Some guy.
Yeah, a friend of mine. He's a Canadian. Briefly, he's a Canadian that the DEA went into Canada and arrested him for selling seeds over the internet. Marijuana seeds, or hemp seeds, as they used to be called.
And you went to prison yourself for drug paraphernalia.
I went to prison. Right? I went to prison for paraphernalia. You know, which again, you know, wasn't really for paraphernalia. What it was, and the indictment said, it was because I made movies like Up in Smoke that made fun of law enforcement agencies. So I went to jail for that.
So you're saying, nonetheless, I mean, you don't think this legislation has much of a chance, and frankly, I think you're probably right. But at the same time, do you like the idea that the discussion continues to happen at the federal level?
Well, definitely, you know, but I'd like to see it. You know, it could be done in a blink of an eye. All President Obama has to do is sign an executive order rescheduling marijuana from a Schedule I, which says it has no medical use whatsoever, to a Schedule II, which would allow it to be sold by prescription only, and then it would be all done.
Okay, and let me bring Paul in here to jump in on this. Paul, what's wrong with this kind of legislation coming forward? We keep seeing little rumbles about this. We've seen medical marijuana approved in many places. What's wrong with all this?
It's very disappointing to have two grown adults pushing a marijuana agenda. Look, we've got a lot of kids today that are falling into this trap, and adults need to set the example. This is the fringe movement, and we're not going to see it go anywhere. But let's address the point here in California. We don't just necessarily have marijuana dispensaries. These are domestic marijuana cartels. Over 1,000 on the streets of LA. More than Starbucks, 7-Elevens, and McDonald's combined. Today we got more kids entering rehab for marijuana than every other drug combined. And we know the research. It leads to testicular cancer, schizophrenia, depression, and many other anxieties. This is not 2% ditchweed of the 1960s. Very potent marijuana today, and shame on Barney Frank and Ron Paul. Very big disappointment for American leadership.
Yeah, Paul, let me ask you something, though. You yourself had a problem with this. When you were 12 years old, you went into rehab because of drinking and marijuana use, that sort of thing. Look, your own life is proof that the laws don't really stop the illegal trade in this. What do you make of that?
Well, let me address that. First, I grew up watching Cheech and Chong when I was a kid smoking out and had that negative influence. I grew up and I got help. The problem is today, 90% of those who enter into treatment don't quite make it. They're still addicts. And I'm 36 today, 26 years of great sobriety, but I'm fighting in the trenches. Look, I'm a dad. I've got 3 young kids at home, and it's what kind of community, what kind of country I want my little ones to grow up in. I'll tell you what, look at California. We defeated marijuana legalization here the last go-around. We've woken up to the medical fraud marijuana problem that has skirted all around our nation. Times are changing, but it's going to be back to community and family values.
Tommy, let me ask you about this. And what is the thing we should be thinking?
First of all, let me ask him a question.
Sure.
Have you, do you know who Montel Williams is?
I'm very disappointed. I'm sorry.
Do you know Montel Williams? Montel Williams has MS. It's a debilitating disease that he keeps under control by using marijuana. Marissa Etheridge suffered from cancer, and she survived through the use of marijuana. And I can tell you about a kid in Toronto. Shut up for a minute. Let me finish. Let me tell you something else. It has medical use. And so that lie you just said where it had no medical use whatsoever, it's a lie.
Hold on a second,
and the reason
Tommy.
you tell that lie is because you're being paid. You're being paid to tell that lie.
Tommy, hold on
like
a second.
The rest of the liars.
Hold on a second here, Tommy. Just one thing here, though. Look, the medical community has long said there are medical applications for it. But I think the concern for a great many voters is not the medical applications.
We're talking about life-threatening disease.
For a great many people is not about the medical application, but it's about the other uses for it. What is the responsibility?
More kids die from obesity.
13-year-old, 14-year-old.
More kids die from obesity, from alcohol use, from traffic accidents. How many people have died from marijuana? Tell me.
I understand what you're saying.
Tommy, look.
Go ahead,
two wrongs do not make a right. Two wrongs do not make a right.
Well, where's the wrong? Where's the wrong here? No one has died from marijuana.
Tommy, listen.
Where is the wrong here?
First off, my heart goes out to you because you're an addict. You've got a marijuana addiction. Part of those symptoms are aggression and depression and anxiety.
Hey, I don't even smoke it.
Let me address this point.
I'm not smoking
Let me address this point.
I got proof.
The research shows that in California,
I haven't smoked it for 2 months. I quit for 3 years when I went to jail.
Well, maybe you should put something in your mouth to be quiet for a few minutes so I can finish my point.
The greatest thing about pot is that you don't have to do it. You can quit without any medical help whatsoever.
Okay, Tommy, you've had your say, and I appreciate it. But, Paul, let me let you have the last word here, because I know you've been trying to say a couple things.
Well, let him have the last lie. Come on, let's hear some more lies.
You're the first word, Tommy. Go ahead, Paul.
You know, I appreciate that. Look, we've got a huge problem here in California. We've got over 250,000 people that have medical marijuana ID cards. We already know there's a product called Marinol, which is approved by the FDA. It's THC in concentrated form. There's other drugs coming out, Sativex. Less than 2% of those in California use medical marijuana for any kind of significant debilitating illness. Most people who use marijuana in my state of California are young, healthy, under 25-year-olds. It's a disappointment because we need to get them help and not send them the mixed messages that's coming out of some certain leaders in Washington, D.C. today.
Okay, Paul Chabot, thanks for being here. Tommy Chong, I'm afraid we got to go now, Tommy. Thank you very much, and Paul Chabot as well. We appreciate your conversation. I'm sure we're going to have more as it goes on. Up next, on Southwest Airlines, they don't charge you for your bags or for the inside